Hi, Sachin.
Hi, Pranav.
So let's talk about the learning and development initiatives into the company and how exactly this can be interrelated with the emotional intelligence as well. So the first
Sure.
question is only HR responsible for the learning and development initiatives into the company? If you're saying yes, then also I need reasons. If you're saying no, then also I need reasons.
Yeah. Um, yes, obviously my answer is no. HR is definitely not the only department that is responsible. Um, they may be responsible for organizing logistics and other aspects of it, definitely. However, I feel that learning and development, a learning culture is all the department heads, all the senior leaders, they collectively own this initiative. It cannot be just one department or one person taking care of the learning culture for the entire organization. So definitely my answer is no. Um, all the people, all the senior leaders, um, senior employees, as many people as can be involved, who can provide good input in terms of creating a good learning culture for the company, the better. That is what I think.
Okay. Well, that's a different perspective that we have got to know about this. Now, coming to the second question, that how should the analysis of training needs to be done for the employees? What are your views onto it?
Okay. Um, so in my experience, what I have seen is that whenever um, a leader is trying to come up with either a training calendar for their department or training needs for their employees, then their focus is usually on building some sort of skills or behavior in the person. If they are seeing certain lack of behavior, lack of attitude or anything like that, then the training needs are usually analyzed around it. In fact, I would like to share a model that we refer. So we've created an organization culture development program called Invisible Leadership. And in that one, we often talk about this interaction model. Can you see that on your screen right now?
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay. So we often refer to this model where we say that behavior, attitude, and action or inaction, whether someone is taking action or not taking action, these are some things that we can observe. They are visible. And because they are visible, we often provide feedback to people, or we come up with training needs analysis because we see certain kind of behavior, attitude, and either we like or don't like, and we want that to be adjusted. And that is how we identify training needs for our team or our employees, our company, and likewise. However, when we look at human psychology, then behavior, attitude, or behavior leads to attitude, and attitude leads to action or inaction. But behavior doesn't just come from thin air. Something creates our behavior. Although this is what we see and this is what we can comment about whether I like someone's behavior or not, whether I like someone's attitude or not, but it's just not coming from thin air. What is creating behavior is the feelings. Now, feelings are something which are very internal to the person. It's not shown. We can't really observe what is going on. If someone is feeling anxious, stressed, or whatever from inside, they may not be showing it in their behavior or in their attitude. But internally, they are afraid, they are intimidated, they are anxious, they are stressed, whatever. And they are very good at hiding it. So these feelings are the ones that are creating that kind of behavior. But then we go one step back. What is creating the feelings? So feelings are created by our thought process. Now, thoughts create feelings, but what creates thoughts? What creates thoughts is our conditioning. So we don't see the world as it is. We see the world how we want to see it. We all have some kind of glasses that we are wearing. We can never see anything. We cannot see reality without these glasses. We can become aware about these glasses. We can change the glasses, but we cannot get rid of them. That is, so this model is set. This is biological in nature. It happens like this only. So even if we know this, we cannot hack it. It's just like this. But knowing this gives us more understanding of how to solve certain problems, what exactly to do. So I can't get rid of my glasses, but I can always change them. And how these glasses are created? They are created by my upbringing, my family background, my education, my teachers, my role models, the books I read, the TV serials I watch, the movies I watch, the friends I talk to, each and everything that is out there. It shapes my conditioning. It shapes how I feel about the world. And then when I see certain events, certain people, when I interact with them, I see them through these glasses, and that creates the thoughts. So it's very common. You would have heard that two people might witness an accident, but when you interview them, they will tell you two different things altogether. Although they are seeing exactly the same event happening in front of them, but still they see the event in very different ways, and they'll describe it in very different ways. Why? Because their glasses are different. They perceive reality in different ways. So that the way they perceive the reality, that is how they are going to explain it. So why I'm touching all these things is that instead of only focusing on someone's behavior and attitude to come up with training needs analysis, we should also, the leaders and the managers should spend some more time knowing their teams better, knowing their thought process, knowing their conditionings, knowing what drives them, what motivates them, what demotivates them, how they think, how they perceive things, and stuff like that. But often it is not the job of the manager or the leader to actually do this. The manager or the leader should understand that their job is to create an environment in which the person can self-reflect and become self-aware of their own conditioning. So if my manager, if my leader is giving me this kind of environment where I can self-reflect, I can become self-aware of my own conditionings, what drives me, what doesn't drive me, what motivates me, what doesn't motivate me, why I consider things like this, why I create image of another person like this, why I interact this way with the other person. When I'm talking to a colleague or another person, there is an image that I have created in my mind about them. Why I have created that image, where that image has come from. Is it from my past experience about something? Is it my past experience with this person? Or is it my past experience with someone like this person and I am projecting that image onto this person? All these things are very, very important. Unless I self-reflect, unless I become self-aware, unless I diagnose my problem correctly, I wouldn't know what kind of training needs I should actually be coming up with, what kind of behavioral programs I should be sending my team to. So very important, if I, as a leader, as a manager, if I can create an environment in which my people can self-reflect and become self-aware and come back to me and say, this is what I need, the impact on business will be a lot better, because sending someone on trainings that I think is beneficial, but they may not agree with it. And if they don't agree with it, the return that I'm expecting from such kind of training programs are not going to be as per my expectations. People's buy-in is not there. But if my team member themselves are self-reflecting and becoming aware of their weaknesses, of their shortcomings, and then coming to me and telling me, see, sir, I want to go on this kind of training. I think this is where I'm lacking. I think I would really benefit if if I'm sent to this kind of training, and they justify why they are saying that, because they are becoming more aware of themselves. Then they are owning that initiative. They are owning the responsibility of going on this training, and what they will learn from there, they will bring back and they will apply that to their day-to-day life. The impact that I want to create will be a lot better. The return will be a lot better because the decision of going on that training is owned by my team member and not me as a leader imposing that you should go on this kind of training.
Well, that's great to know the another discussion and the point that we happen to have. Okay. So is there any other sites also that you wanted to show, or is this the only one?
No, this is the only one.
This is all.
This is the only, yes.
Okay. All right. So what I understood from this discussion is that, let's say that I'm aware that I wanted to make a career into a particular domain. Okay. And then if I'm allowed to do it at the early stages of my career, obviously I'm going to excel it. However, if that is due to some kind of a conditioning that, okay, fine, my parents are willing to go me into a different kind of a career altogether, or maybe the choice of career I made, later on I realize I don't happen to have any interest into it, I'll always be a average performer at my workplace. However, if I have
Yes.
chosen something which is completely out of my passion, okay, and I am like self-motivated to do that work, so obviously nobody will be better than me to identify the training needs related to the same category.
Yes, yes, exactly. And actually, I just also want to share an example on this since you brought this up. Is let's say I'm a leader of a team, and I see that one of my team members is very smart person. They know a lot, but I always find that their presentation skills are not very good. So I have always observed that this person can actually do quite a lot, and I have good confidence on this person, and I actually want them to be better presenters and better communicators. So so what so as you were talking, I just thought of one example that I could also use to support this. So let's say, for example, I am the leader of a team, and I have a team member who's very smart, very knowledgeable person, knows his facts and figures and everything, knows all the information and everything very nicely. But the person cannot really present it as good as this person is. Um, and I really want this person to develop these skills. So now what I have done as a leader, I have identified a training need for this person, that this person should go on some kind of course, some kind of training to learn good presentation skills. And I will suggest this person that please do that because as a leader, I really care and I want this person to shine and become more professional in what he does. So here what I have done is I have purely selected a training need or identified a training need for this person based on the behavior that I have seen. Now I haven't really invested much time to figure out why this person is not able to speak in front of others, why they are not able to present. I have just assumed that this is a skill that they lack, and and I have come up with a solution for it straight away. And this is where I feel that a more self-reflection, self-awareness environment for this person would be helpful if, as a leader, I bring this to their notice first and I ask them to identify what stops them from being a good communicator, from being a good presenter. And I let this person figure that out himself first. Right? Now, as a leader, I can be there to help this person, but I should try not to help too much also. And let the person first try it. Give the person some space. Maybe ask them, ask them some questions or give them some questions that they can go away and reflect. So creating this environment of self-awareness and self-reflection helps the person to really get to the bottom of it, because presentation skills might not be the issue, could be something else also. And then once we identify the real reason for hesitation or for whatever that this person is going through, and we remove it, we might find that this person was a good presenter all along anyway. it wasn't the problem that they didn't know how to present it. It was something else that was stopping them from doing it. And once I removed that problem, I had no need to send them to presentation skills training at all. The person actually not only very good himself, but now he's actually teaching other team members to do it as well. So if I would have just sent this person on presentation skills training, not only I would have wasted time and money, but I would not have got the result anyway, because that was not the issue that was stopping this person. It was something else. Just by allowing that thing to emerge, and facilitating and creating that environment for that thing to emerge, and for the person, encouraging the person to self-reflect, to become self-aware, has given me such a good return on this kind of investment.
Right. So it's actually the root cause analysis which has been done into this case. And then the other person with whom the problem was there was asked to go ahead and find out the solution rather than
Yes,
somebody else doing it on his behalf.
somebody else doing it on their behalf, and maybe thinking this is, as a leader, this is my responsibility,
Mhm.
or I should take care of my people, I should come up with this and that. So sometimes in the name of help, we kind of make people handicapped as well.
Right. That's the amazing perspective that you have given across into the training needs analysis. Okay. And hopefully this can be definitely utilized by our viewers who are watching it, or maybe the people who are into this particular profession. So thanks a lot, Sachin, for all your time and the insights onto this discussion, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Pragya. Thank you. Okay, bye.